we bring you the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour 2020 season opener. The big half-mile Jennerstown Speedway has hosted the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour 14 times in the past, but the most recent being 2006. Not long after that visit, this beautiful facility was shuttered into dormancy, and now, after resurrected for 4 years of successful weekly stock car racing, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour returns. And only a handful of these competitors have competed on this asphalt before. With a host of drivers looking to kick off the 2020 campaign in a successful way, the longest delay to start a NASCAR season in history ends here today at the Jennerstown Speedway complex. We are live from the Jennerstown Speedway. This .522-mile oval is wide, smooth, and fast. And for the drivers of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, it's been a long wait to get back behind the wheel. Points racing will occur today without any fans in the stands, and it's just about time for our opening ceremonies, and we'll throw it down trackside. My name is Mike Lisakowski, and I'm here with you for this season opener of the 2020 NASCAR Whelen Modified campaign. This event was supposed to happen some 3 months ago at the South Boston Speedway in Virginia, postponed by the pandemic, and then a weather postponement for Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, means that this event is 3 months delayed, and the drivers are very eager to shake down their new equipment. While some of these competitors went to Florida Speed Weeks back in February, a vast majority of these drivers are competing in this equipment for the very first time in the calendar year of 2020. Now we're going to look for the starting lineup on the grid. The cars have been taking shape, and we are about set to get ready to welcome everyone here with an opening ceremonies that includes an invocation and our national anthem. Cars are still rolling to the grid right now in time trial qualifications. Justin Bonsignor with the Phoenix Communications Chevrolet set the quickest time at 18.191. That's an average speed of 103.304 miles per hour. And when we say a big half mile, so many short tracks in America are rounding up when they say a .4 or 3/8 mile. But here at the Jennerstown Speedway, the cars will actually use a groove of .522. That's using the lowest possible lanes of the turns. If a driver were to put two wheels on the outside wall of this facility, it would mathematically round up to a .6 of a mile oval. So the drivers were very happy with the wide turns here. The banking is about 9 degrees in each corner and about 6 degrees on the straightaway. So plenty of straightaway room with this big facility. And again, no fans in attendance today. Procedures were followed by NASCAR order with masks on all of the pit crew members. A limited number of people on each team were allowed into the pits in order to keep everyone safe and healthy here. So this giant 10,000-seat grandstand is empty, and NBCSN today is the way to watch this event live for everybody, as this picturesque facility will remain empty for the safety and health of everyone by NASCAR mandate. Justin Bonsignor, our fastest qualifier there, seated against the outside retaining wall. And there's Doug Coby, the driver of the Mayhew Tools number 10 machine. He is now a team owner as well as a driver. After several years behind the wheel of the number 2 machine and 5 championships, that team folded up shop. So Coby bought one of the race cars from that stable, has since added a second car, and now his 2-car team under his leadership, he will be holding the wheel of a car that he owns for the first time since he raced late models very early in his career. So a smiling Coby. He is one of the drivers that has previous experience here. He's made 2 starts at the Jennerstown Speedway and the NASCAR Whelen Tour previously, and he is one of only a few drivers with that experience. So it'll be interesting to see the drivers who have never been here before and are used to competing on smaller tracks in Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey, adapting to the high speeds of this big half-mile racetrack. Last night, a 5-division racing program was completed here at the Jennerstown Speedway, and several of the drivers were talking after practice about the rubber that was laid down from that show. A rain shower early in the night made it a green racetrack as practice sessions were canceled last night. Then 10 heat races and 5 features were put down on this asphalt. The weather remained stable throughout the night, so it was on top of that rubber that these drivers were able to put their wide Hoosier slicks to the practice. And drivers that had rented this facility for testing just a few weeks ago said said that it felt like a completely different racetrack. So again, on the idea of experience at Jennerstown Speedway, even the teams that practiced here are going to find a little bit different surface today as a result of the weather yesterday afternoon and the racing here last night. Again, 10 heats and 5 features were completed as this facility hosts Saturday night stock car racing each and every week after being closed for nearly 7 years. This beautiful facility came back to life with a trio of partners that include a former sponsor, a former driver, and a former team owner. And as this speedway is back to full speed racing, we welcome the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour to Western Pennsylvania for the first time since 2006. And welcoming all of you to the broadcast, we send it to the front straight for our official opening ceremonies.
To enjoy the great sport of auto racing. And Lord, today we remember 2 special people that we lost during this off season. First, we remember Bob Summers and his contributions that he made to this sport through Hoosier Tire East. And also, Lord, we remember Wade Cole. We remember his infectious smile, his persistence, and his continued dedication to this sport over the last 35 years. And Lord, I just ask that you would just be with those families today, Lord, that you would lead them, guide them, and comfort them in their time of loss. God, we ask that you would protect this race, that you would watch over all the drivers, and be with us all today. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And we are ready for action at the Jennerstown Speedway Complex in southwestern Pennsylvania. Earlier, we saw that shot of Justin Bonsignor, your fastest qualifier, talking with Doug Coby. Coby was the second quickest in time trials. It was 18:191 for Justin, 18:278 for Doug. So a very close round of qualifying there. Patrick Emmerling will start from the 3rd position. He's been a winner on the tour, including a Bristol victory for Emmerling. 4th will be Dave Sapienza. So those are the first 2 rows as we will get ready to go green for 133 laps of action. Now, we will have a 5-minute break at lap 70. And this is a procedure that's often used at smaller racetracks where the pit lanes are blocked. This has been implemented today in order to maintain social distancing and to keep everybody safe and healthy. There will be a 5-minute break where 2 approved tires can be changed. Tires can be swapped on the race car from left to right, front to back, and that can be done during any caution flag. But under the brake, the 2 approved tires can be added to the race car. They cannot perform any body work under that 5-minute break. They can switch out and add tires and obviously add fuel. The positions will be frozen no matter what order they come off of pit lane. As long as they are ready to roll at the conclusion of the 5-minute break, all the spots will be the way they were under green flag racing at lap 70. Now keep in mind that the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour also implements overtime. An unlimited number of overtimes of green, white checker can be used if needed to conclude this 133 lap event. So those are some of the news and notes as we get set to fire engines and the drivers are being buckled in for competition here. Previous winners at the Jennerstown Speedway complex include Tony Hirschman, a 3-time winner. Teddy Christopher, the late great Northeast driver, has been to victory lane here. In fact, Christopher was the final winner of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour event before this speedway was closed for several seasons. In that event, Doug Coby was a competitor. Now, when we talk about experience at the Jennerstown Speedway, John McKennedy, who is in the grid this afternoon, qualified in the 5th position. Not only has he been victorious on the tour in the past, but he has been to victory lane right here at Jennerstown Speedway in an ISMA Super Modified. So McKennedy, with well over 100 career feature victories in stock car racing, open wheel racing, winged racing, non-winged racing. He's driven just about anything on pavement with 4 wheels. He has been to victory lane here at the Jennerstown Speedway. Tony Hirschman, who was a 3-time winner here in the tour's previous stops, leading from 1987 to 2006. His son, Matt Hirschman, on the grid today. Hirschman qualified 9th quick in the number 60 car. Now, Hirschman went to victory lane at the Jennerstown Speedway in 2017. It was not a NASCAR-sanctioned modified race, but it was the last time the modifieds competed on this half mile. So Hirschman, with the most recent experience and successful experience going to victory lane with the Race of Champions Tour here. Hirschman goes from 9th on the grid in spite of having a very successful February Speed Weeks. Hirschman went to victory lane at 2 different racetracks back in February, winning at the Bronson Speedway and picking up a big win in the prestigious Richie Evans Memorial, the unsanctioned event that closes out Speed Weeks for the modifieds at the historic New Smyrna Speedway. I talked to several of the drivers after practice, and they said that the speeds here on the big wide Jennerstown Speedway are rather comparable to that at New Smyrna. So several of the drivers who competed during Florida Speed Weeks back in February may have a leg up on the competition because their machines had achieved speeds similar to this. New Smyrna with significantly higher banking but much tighter corners. The drivers said that they are able to get into the turns quickly even though this banking is lower. Because these turns are so wide, there's a lot of loud pedal action. These drivers are on the hammer for most of a lap here at the Jennerstown Speedway complex, and those with experience here may just rise to the top. Tonight's race is named in honor of Wade Cole, number 33. A longtime fixture in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, Wade lost his life in March prepping his race car for 2020 battle. His familiar number 33 was not known for being near the front of the field, but Wade was revered among those on the tour for his dedication to the series and years of modified racing. His 371 career starts rank him 8th all-time on the tour. Wade Cole was 67. This event being 133 laps in length. That's an unusual number to honor Wade Cole, as his car number had always been 33, and he is on the minds of these drivers as he was preparing to compete in 2020. And that tragic loss to the tour will be honored here today, as this event is sponsored by Morocco Welding. And the tribute to Wade Cole with 133 laps also presented by Dunleavy's Truck and Trailer Sales. And the drivers have fired for action here at the Jennerstown Speedway complex. We'll have a few pace laps under the gorgeous sunny skies here, and then a 4-wide parade lap to kick off the 2020 season for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Taking a look at the starting lineup. They are going straight up from their time trial results just a few moments ago. Justin Bonsignor Many times a winner on the tour with the number 51 car goes from the pole position, and Doug Coby making his first NASCAR sanctioned start aboard his own number 10 machine as defending champion in the Mayhew Tools sponsored machine. The 07 of Patrick Emmerling launches from the 3rd position. In the 4th spot, the 36 car, Dave Sapienza. We talked about those front 4 starters having the best qualifying runs. Emmerling in the 07 machine. He has Jan Leedy on the pit box. Leedy, a 9-time modified tour winner, and he spends a lot of time on that number 07 machine turning the wrenches, and he'll have radio communication with Emmerling. Leedy was very successful during his modified days here at the Jennerstown Speedway, competing some 14 times during his career on this big half mile. Teams on pit road preparing for that lap 75-minute break. A 2-tire change permitted and rotating positions of the tires, as we mentioned. Unique to this speedway, which is accustomed to live pit stops as the field begins to roll. The empty grandstands here. The good news for race fans is that on August the 22nd, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour returns to the Jennerstown Speedway. Tickets are on sale at the website of jennerstown.org, and you can be a part of the second visit of the tour here in 2020, coming up on August the 22nd, as the Super Cup Stock Car Series will also be on the agenda that day. And for the first time in 2020, a field of NASCAR Whelen Modifieds, 33 cars strong, forms behind the pace truck here at the Jennerstown Speedway Complex. Scrubbing heat into the tires on the back straightaway. And our race analysis for the Wade Cole Memorial 133. The Jennerstown Speedway Complex, this paved half-mile oval, features 6-degree bankings on the straightaway, 9 degrees in the corners. 133 laps computes to 69.43 miles with that competition caution break at lap 70. The last time the Modifieds raced here at the Jennerstown Speedway, it was 2006, and the late, great Teddy Christopher won the event that day. Continuing with the starting lineup for this 133-lap contest today. Qualifying order going straight up: the 51 of Justin Bonsignor, the 10 of Doug Coby, the 07 of Patrick Emmerling, the 36 of Dave Sapienza, 7 John McKennedy, he's won here. Matt Swanson in the famous car number 3 as they go 4 wide at the start-finish line. To salute all of you viewing on NBCSN, look at this field of fantastic NASCAR Whelen Modifieds, eager to get the 2020 campaign started here in late June in Western Pennsylvania. The field forms behind the pace truck. An awesome sound, an awesome sight as these ground-pounding modifieds go 4 deep down the wide backstretch of the legendary Jennerstown Speedway complex. The field will form back to 2x2 for the first green flag of year 2020. NASCAR's oldest touring division set to do battle for the first time. The 6th position starter Matt Swanson in the legendary number 3 car. The 46, Craig Lutz. 50, Ronnie Williams. The number 60 car, Matt Hirschman. Wins on the tour and a win here at the Jennerstown Speedway. Going from the 10th position, it'll be the 58 of Eric Goodale. He's been a winner on the tour and competed during Florida Speed Weeks this past February as well. The 66 car, Timmy Solomito, a winner on the tour repeatedly. The 85, Ronnie Silk, a former champion of the tour back in 2010. Driving car 82 and starting from the 13th position, Chase Dowling. Starting from the 14th spot in the 24, Andrew Krause. Kyle Bonsignor drives the 22 car. He launches from the 15th position. He's been a winner on the tour. The 64 car is Rob Summers, another driver that's won in nearly every form of asphalt racing. Starting from the 17th position, winner on the tour, Woody Pitkat. Starting from the 18th position, second generation driver, Tommy Catalano. The 75 car, Chris Pasteryak, another second generation driver, starts from 19th in the 20th spot. The matriarch of the Catalano racers today, Amy Catalano, and right behind her in position 21 driving the 45 car, Timmy Catalano. Sam Ramo in the 06 former Tour Rookie of the Year. 55, Jeremy Gerstner. The 25 is Calvin Carroll. J.R. Bertuccio drives the number 2. He shook down his equipment during Florida Speed Weeks. In the 4 car, second generation driver Jeff Gallup. John Beatty Jr. in the number 5 machine. The 88, Roger Turbish. 32, Tyler Ripkema, starting at the back of the pack. He will find some speed in that number 32 car. Walter Sutcliffe Jr. drives the 78. In the 20 machine, Edward McCarthy. The 34, J.B. Fortin. And the 01, Melissa Fifield. Next time by, we will go green flag racing for 133 laps in memory of Wade Cole, sponsored by Morocco Welding here at the Jennerstown Speedway Complex. The big half-mile oval about to bring to life the 2020 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Jennerstown Speedway pace truck will exit the speedway in turn number 4. Bonsignor, 51 car. Kobe in the 10, row 1. Emmerling in row 2 in the 07. Sapienza in the 36 in the outside position of row 2. Then the Tommy Baldwin Racing entry of John McKennedy, the number 7. And the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour is underway for 2020. Headed into turn 1 at the Jennerstown Speedway Complex. The Wade Cole 133 is up to full speed, and Emmerling has a big problem. Emmerling in the 07, one of the fastest qualifiers, rolls to a stop at the exit of turn number 2. We avoided disaster there. The number 60 machine, the number 64 machine was slow up there as well. And look at the right front tire flat on the Emmerling 07. I'm going to suspect that maybe some contact would have caused that, because on lap 1, I don't think a tire goes down. That is unbelievable that the driver who was taking the green flag from 4th position, a driver with a victory on the tour who likes high-speed half-mile racetracks, is going to have to come in for an emergency pit stop with that right front flat tire. And we told you that the tire changes were only 2 approved tires allowed to be changed during the break. That does not include emergencies. And this certainly being an emergency, as Emmerling, who was really in a terrific spot for that start. Not only is he going from the 5th position, but I mentioned earlier, he's been a winner at Bristol. And when you talk about high-speed racetracks, Jennerstown is in the conversation with these long straightaways and wide turns. But high speeds at Bristol, if this guy can win on that half mile, he can win nearly anywhere. So successful in the Race of Champions Tour is Emmerling, and now headed down pit lane. Look at that right front flat tire. The crew goes to work immediately. Without a lap completed, Emmerling needs the shoe change. Everyone else has pulled away from the scene of that incident there at the exit of turn number 2. And one of the drivers that we were so excited to watch at a high-speed facility like this will have to come from the tail. So it could be a very, very exciting 133 laps for Emmerling. And taking a look at the replay on the start, Emmerling, the inside row number 2 machine. And that tire is already down. There was no contact there at all. Great job by Goodale moving around that machine. And then it was the number 50 car that had to roll to a stop. Fortunately, he was able to continue on. Very lucky there that I don't think there was any damage to the cars that may have bumped bumpers with one another trying to get out of the way. Ronnie Williams there had to lock up the brakes. He was in the 8th starting position and had to fall all the way back as a result of Emmerling slowing with that flat right front shoe. And now pulling away once again is the 07 at the tail of the field. They are taking a look now at the front bumper of the Williams machine, that number 50 ride. Hoping there's no suspension damage. It looked like light contact because the cars couldn't have possibly been up to absolute full speed since just taking the green. But now Williams heads back out onto the speedway. Great news there for the number 50. He's been racing a modified for 7 years, Williams has. He's got 2 pole positions on the tour. Told me he has yet to lead a lap on the tour in spite of those 2 pole positions. And leading a lap now just got a lot more challenging as through no fault of his own, he's going to take the green flag at the tail of the field with Emmerling. So now we turn our attention back, unfortunately, to the pace truck and the drivers immediately behind. Kobe in the 10, the race car that he now owns, the defending champion of the tour, and that 51 machine of Bonsignor, who clocked the fastest lap in time trials. As they reach the scoring line, it will be lap 10 of 133. And the green flag is out once again. Bonsignor with the jump on Kobe headed into turn number 1. 33 cars still on the racetrack in spite of that lap 1 incident with Emmerling's flat tire. Side-by-side action all over the back straightaway. 2 wide all the way through turns 3 and 4. Bonsignor continues to lead. Kobe looks to the outside, but he's a car length and a half away from being able to make a move. Top 10 battle going side by side as they enter turn 3. It's the 58 of Goodale, part of that action. The 46 car, very impressive during Florida Speed Weeks. That young driver, who was a former late model champion, Craig Lutz, had a fantastic Speed Weeks. Now we see the Tommy Baldwin Racing entry, the number 7 car of McKennedy, and the 60 of Matt Hirschman. Both of those drivers have been to Jennerstown Speedway Victory Lane. Hirschman in a modified sanctioned by the Race of Champions Tour, and McKennedy in a Wing Super modified sanctioned by ISMA back in 2017. Bumper to bumper, these 2 competitors who have been victorious all over the eastern United States. This battle on the racetrack is for the 5th position, as Bonsignor continues to lead by about 2 car lengths over Kobe. Matt Swanson has been racing since he was 13 years old. He's in 3rd spot with that famous blue number 3 car. We'll talk more about that team as the race goes along. Bonsignor and Kobe out in front. That was the way they started this event. 2 of the drivers with fast qualifying laps, but it was a close field in time trials. Not a big fall off throughout the entire field. 36 of Sapienza there. He was the 4th place starter. 4 cars pulling away just a little bit. Then that battle that we saw for 5th a moment ago, the number 7 machine of McKennedy has now distanced himself from Hirschman. McKennedy told me this is his first race of the season. Driver with over 150 wins, and with McKennedy being so versatile, kind of expected him to have found a race someplace this season with the abbreviated schedules and canceled events, but behind the wheel for the first time in that Tommy Baldwin Racing number 7. He knows this Jennerstown Speedway very, very well from multiple divisions of competition here. We see Hirschman, the 6th place driver in the 60, falling back just a little. He is a conservative driver. likes to save the tires for late race bursts. His father, a three-time winner here. And behind him, Lutz in the 46 car. Both of those drivers were in competition during the World Series of Asphalt Racing back in February. Down the front straightaway, the 82 machine of Chase Dowling. Dowling, the Rookie of the Year this tour back in 2015. And here we see him pulling up to the rear bumper of Goodale briefly. Goodale in the 58 machine, another one of those competitors that has several races under his belt from the trip to Florida back in February. Goodale, a multi-feature winner on the tour 5 times with the NASCAR Whelen Modifieds. He's been to victory lane. But Dowling catching up. Both of those drivers have earned the Rookie of the Year honor on this tour. Goodale's brother has racing experience here at Jennerstown Speedway, and Eric told me earlier today he was changing tires on that machine back in 2006 when Big Brother competed at Jennerstown Speedway. So the Goodale team with at least some notes going back a few years to set up the number 58 machine for competition here today. Dowling continues to take a peek to the outside. They're close enough to touch bumpers as they go into turn number 2, a battle for a top 10 position here. Up front, though, the 51 of Bonsignor, and now Kobe getting a little bit closer. Kobe with the right front tires showing maybe a little bit more white than they should. And here's the Goodale on the outside of the 82 of Dowling. They're going to be splitting the 01 of Melissa Fifield. Fifield, the former Legends car competitor, going a lap down here early on at Jennerstown as we're working lap number 20 of 133. And look at this side-by-side action. And Chase Dowling puts his machine ahead of Goodale. Top 10 position changing hands right there. Leaders reaching the scoring line. And as we work lap number 21, there we see Kobe on the outside. And it looks to me like the right side tires of the number 10 car are just a little bit more white than the left sides. He's been poking to the outside of leader Bonsignor, and it looks to me like there has been some contact with the wall by the number 10 car. Take a look at that right front tire. Very early in the going here, and apparently hasn't had an impact on that machine as he is as close to the rear bumper of Bonsignor now as he has been throughout these first 22 laps of action here at Jennerstown Speedway. And the closer they fight, the closer Matt Swanson continues to get. Remember, that break at lap 70 is going to be critical to everybody on the speedway. And with 5 minutes to make changes, if Kobe has done anything to the geometry on the front end of that car, they can take out the wrenches in that 5-minute period. Top 5-6 cars getting closer together than they were in the first 10 to 15 laps of this event. Keep in mind that 7 machine of McKennedy. He's already made an important position pass getting around a recent winner here, Matt Hirschman. And he has not only pulled away from Hirschman, but seems to be gaining on the 36 of Sapienza. The number 3 machine of Matt Swanson, a quarter midget racer since age 13. He's been on the tour for about 7 years now in that number 3 machine, and holding that 3rd spot ahead of the 36 of Sapienza. The number 3 car from the Bowler Racing stable that has carried that paint scheme for many, many, many seasons. It's always been a hand-painted machine. There's some stickers for the sponsors on there now, but the team told me it's still a painted race car in this modern era of vinyl graphics wrap, staying true to the old Lenny Bowler days of the number 3 car. Of course, that's an era that young Swanson wouldn't quite remember as he jumped on the tour back in 2013. And he is right there with Kobe in the 10. Lap traffic is about to get a little bit heavier now. These 3 cars have put a couple car lengths between themselves and Sapienza, but the lap traffic getting heavier and heavier now on this big half-mile Jennerstown Speedway. Beginning to work lap 29 now, and Bonsignor leading with that lap traffic, helping him to get another couple of car length advantage. And now look at the 3 of Swanson. He takes a peek to the inside of Kobe. Kobe in his first race as an owner driver of this number 10 car. Swanson took the green back in 6th position, so he was 6th fastest on the clock, but 3rd fastest, 3rd in position at least right now. And for a moment there seemed to be gaining on 2nd place Kobe. Sapienza has closed up the gap now. He was back a few car lengths, but this heavy lap traffic working against Monsignor, who wants to build up an enormous lead. Cars staying much closer together inside the top 5 now. We look back to 5th and 6th spot, the 7 machine that had pulled away from Hirschman. McKennedy and Hirschman are bumper to bumper once again as they've been working lap traffic. Nose to tail freight train now working lap number 32. Here we see Ripkema in the 32 going a lap down. Had high hopes for him. An aggressive driver, likes high speeds. He does very well in the Race of Champions Tour, and going a lap down here early in the opener for the NASCAR Whelen Tour of 2020. Ripkema as well competed during Florida Speed Weeks. Now Monsignor with a little bit of clean racetrack in front of him for a lap or so before more traffic. Very impressed with the 3 of Swanson. He's gained 3 positions already, and he's hanging right with the defending champion Kobe. Sapienza doing a great job there as well. Sapienza in that 36 car raced in Florida because he needed to test himself physically after a broken back last season. He sat out the remainder of the season after that injury. He said when he got in the car in Florida, he felt just fine. Didn't set the world on fire during Florida Speed Weeks, but nevertheless got some time after that significant injury. Said he does still feel some pain from that injury. He was told to sit out 6 to 8 weeks, sat out the entire rest of the season just to be sure. And now in the 2020 opener for points with the NASCAR Tour, he's hanging inside the top 5. Can't imagine a broken back and what must go through your mind belting back into the race car for the first time after an injury so severe. But Sapienza holding a top 5 spot. Certainly no trepidation after he went to the fast New Smyrna Speedway for several nights of racing in February, coming out of that injury and prepping himself for this day to earn more points on the NASCAR Tour. The 01 of Fifield goes another lap down. That car not quite up to speed today. And now clear racetrack for leader Bonsignor. A full straightaway of clear racetrack as we will work lap 40 the next time at the scoring line. Sapienza now falling a little bit back from the lead trio. As they make their way down the front stretch, McKennedy backing up in the 7 car. We watched him pass Hirschman early on, and now Hirschman has reclaimed that position. So while the front 3 stay a couple of car lengths apart, we now see the Hirschman 60 machine. He has gotten back around McKennedy, and again, these 2 drivers are the most recent Jennerstown winners in the field. The 60 of Hirschman with a Race of Champions win, and McKennedy with a super modified win on this facility, being much more recent than that last NASCAR Modified Tour event back here in 2006. And both of these drivers, Hirschman and the 7 of McKennedy, 5th and 6th, are losing ground to the lead foursome. Back up front now, and we see Hirschman's gap. He may be gaining a little here in clear racetrack, but still many car lengths to get up there and challenge. Working lap 43 now. Keep in mind that 5-minute race break at lap 70 of the Morocco Welding Wade Cole Memorial 133. Kobe falling back a few more car lengths from Bonsignor as they're in clear racetrack, but lap traffic looming ahead again. It's not going to be heavy, but there will be a couple of lap cars coming up. Bonsignor moves to the outside. Of course, Justin and Kyle Bonsignor, cousins, both in this 33-car starting field, both with wins in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. There we see the gap between leader in the 51, Bonsignor, and then the lapped car of Catalano coming up. So there we have our race leader at lap 46, Justin Bonsignor. In second spot, Doug Coby in car number 10. That difference growing in empty racetrack, but in lap traffic, Coby was able to close right up to the rear bumper of the 51 machine. So behind Bonsignor, just a few car lengths. Entering lap traffic again, we'll see the second place driver, Doug Coby. So many times a series champion, but now a car owner trying to defend that championship. Steering the number 10, he chose that number from back in his late model days, and with the number 2 team folding up shop, he did everything he could do, which was become a team owner, buying one car from that stable and adding another to his team. The Mayhew Tools machine holding down second. He was the second fastest qualifier as well. Behind him, the 3 of Swanson, 6th fastest qualifier today in that famous number 3 machine. He's moved up to the 3rd position, having a smooth race so far. Great to see that young man with that historic race team and those historic colors and numbers. Still in competition and still doing very well. A 3-position gain early for him. He is trailing the defending champion, doing a great job so far in his first visit to Jennerstown Speedway. Then the 36 car, Sapienza, the driver who is back in action after that broken back in 2019. He so loves this Whelen Modified Tour and was so eager to get back in the car like everyone else that he headed to Florida for Speed Weeks. So unlike a majority of these drivers, Sapienza has a good 5-6 events under his belt as now he moves to the outside of the 56 of Amy Catalano. That car going a lap down. And as we talk about Sapienza, who's currently holding the 4th position, 5th place driver on the move, Matt Hirschman in the 60 car. The Pennsylvania resident. His father, a 3-time winner here. After claiming the 5th spot back from McKennedy and falling way back from the lead foursome early on, Hirschman is gaining ground in the number 60 car. Hirschman with 2 wins already on the season, as again most of these drivers had yet to compete. He's found victory lane twice in the Sunshine State back in February, and Hirschman as the most recent Jennerstown Modified winner in 2017, hoping to make it 2 straight here. That was not a NASCAR sanctioned event, but he is now again looking strong after he faded a little bit earlier in this race. The 2nd generation driver of Tony Hirschman's son, the former champion of this tour. And we mentioned John McKennedy, the Tommy Baldwin Racing number 7 car. Oh, we got a problem. We've got a problem with the Catalano 54, the Rocket. Tommy Catalano rolls to a stop in turn number 4. And that will bring out a caution on lap 55. 55 laps in the record book, and the Rocket rolls to a stop. You're watching the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour on NBCSN. Leader Bonsignor waiting for the pace truck to head out onto the speedway, lap 56. And the Rocket, Tommy Catalano, rolls to a stop in turn number 4. That driver has been victorious in late models, midgets, stock cars, any form of racing. He's been a big winner in weekly competition at the Holland Speedway in New York, at the Lancaster Speedway in New York, and now rolls to a stop with 2 family members in competition here today. His mother, Amy, as well as Timmy. And we see the window net down, so the rocket is okay, but it's got to be disappointed to start the 2020 campaign like this, coming to a stop as we work lap 57, headed for that lap 75-minute break in the Wade Cole 133 to kick off the NASCAR Whelen campaign 2020. Talking to NASCAR officials there. They radioed for a tow truck in lieu of a push truck, so interesting to see what the problem might be with the Catalano machine. And here under caution, as the cars move down a little bit from the outside retaining wall, we can definitely see that the 10 of Kobe has the evidence of wall contact on the right side, as those Hoosier tires are white walled to the level that they do not come from the factory. Nevertheless, holding down second position. He's lost a few car lengths in clear racetrack to leader Bonsignor, but the number 3 car of Swanson has yet to really make a serious challenge for the second position. So that contact obviously not hurting Kobe very much, as we see now the 2 of J.R. Bertuccio rolling up toward the pace truck. He may be headed down pit lane. Bertuccio, another driver that competed during Florida Speed Week, so several drivers who have done so, but a vast majority of these 33 competitors getting behind the wheel for the first time in 2020. As there we see the Kobe number 10 machine, and you can compare the left side black wall tires to the right side white wall tires and know that at least once he got right up to the top of the Jennerstown Speedway concrete retaining wall. Kobe told us last night that he was very excited to have previous experience here at this racetrack, and said that he didn't share any of the notes. He kept all of his secrets to himself. This track has not been repaved since the 2006 visit of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. It's the same smooth asphalt that remained undamaged, even though this place was dormant for a good 7 years or more. Last night, Kobe was here, like several of the teams, watching the late models, the modifieds, and all the weekly racing action that happens here on a Saturday night at 6 p.m. each and every week. And keeping in mind that if you like the way this speedway looks and the way these cars are racing around this big half mile, you will have the opportunity to be a grandstand attendant when they return on August the 22nd here to the Jennerstown Speedway. They will have the Super Cup Stock Car Series on the agenda that day as well. So a second visit planned in 2020, as hosting this 3-month delayed opener rolls on today at lap 59. Paired up 2x2 for the restart. Lights are out on the pace truck. 6 of Sam Rabo made a pit stop there as well. He's a former Rookie of the Year on this tour. Lights back on the pace truck now, as we're displaying the caution flag again. We were ready to go green flag, and now we've got a truck headed out to the backstretch. Perhaps some debris on the entrance to turn number 3 as they were set to go, and the safety truck now takes a look at the outside retaining wall and heads back in. Well, it's certainly a pleasure to be here on this gorgeous afternoon in southwestern Pennsylvania on the big, smooth Jennerstown Speedway half-mile oval. So excited to finally launch the 2020 NASCAR Modified campaign, as the Whelen Tour was supposed to launch 3 months ago. Yeah, March 21st was the original scheduled date, but as life continues to return to normal all across the United States of America, we can provide racing for these teams here today. And although the fans aren't in attendance, we're certainly glad that you have joined us here on NBCSN for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. It's now lap 61, headed for a break at lap 70 of the Wade Cole Memorial 133, presented by Morocco Welding. And out of turn number 4, we are back up to full speed. Bonsignor the leader, and now the opportunity that the 3 of Swanson wanted to pull door to door with the number 10 of Kobe. Challenge for second spot. The 60 of Hirschman was also on the move. He lines up to the inside of Sapienza, the 4th place car, and smoke from Hirschman's machine. I think it was the brakes, as he had to back off and loses several car lengths now. Top 5 back to single file as Hirschman had to pound the brakes. I saw some smoke there, hoping that's tire or brake smoke, because a mechanical failure on the number 60 in front of this entire field could be disastrous. He is still at full pace, but fell back a couple of car lengths from Sapienza's 36 machine. Bonsignor now with a bigger lead than he had before. And look at this action back in the pack. Side by side down the front stretch. It is Goodale in the 58 machine trying to gain another position. The 85 of Ronnie Silk, the 2011 series champion, is a part of that mix. Still side by side and wheel to wheel. There's the 25 of Calvin Carroll, his 4th year in a modified. He's a former Rookie of the Year on this tour, just like Goodale, who's wheel to wheel with him. Then Silk in the 85. Silk, who had so many fantastic seasons on the tour, winning that championship just about 9 years ago. Here we see the 82 machine on the move again. Chase Dowling, we saw him gain a position earlier. So close racing. In fact, Goodale gets 2 wheels below the yellow line onto the apron of the Jennerstown Speedway. And the 25 of Carroll pulls ahead with that spot. Now the 82 machine. Once again, that is Chase Dowling. He's made a couple of good moves, but now challenging McKennedy, and that's an impressive challenge because, again, McKennedy, a winner here at Jennerstown in the past. Dowling grabs that spot with no previous experience. Now we see the 25 to the inside. Calvin Carroll. Lots of action in the middle of this pack. 64 car on the move as well. Rob Summers, he's another driver with former Jennerstown experience. He's raced the ISMA Super Modifieds here, and he's been in the modified events here in the past. Summers with wins in all types of different race cars. He was suffering from a serious brake problem earlier tonight in that machine. Apparently has that fixed. At a track with straightaways this long, brakes are not something that should be malfunctioning. And a problem for the 7. McKennedy, who was running in the top 5 and passing top-notch machines, is falling back in this field. Is it a tire problem? Is it something more severe? It is a tire problem. The left rear is flat on the 7 of John McKennedy. So a top 5 driver will be headed to the pits, just like Emmerling, who's in the shot there in the 07, climbing from the tail. 2 top qualifiers suffering tire failures, and the caution flag is on the speedway. Caution flag is out as we're watching the 7 of John McKennedy. McKennedy, who timed in the 5th quick position, suffering a left rear flat. Emmerling, who on lap 1 suffered a flat tire, was the 3rd quick qualifier. So drivers who figured out the quick way around this half mile are having tire troubles here today. 2nd time that a top 5 car at one point will be headed to the pits for a new sneaker. Pace truck will roll onto the speedway as the lap number 70 caution flag comes at the perfect time for the driver of the number 7. If you're going to have a flat tire, you might as well have it when the tires need to be changed anyway. Teams getting ready on pit lane. There will be a 5-minute window to work on these race cars. No body work can be completed, but the tires can be swapped on positions, and what that means, that left front tire, left rear tire, there could be better positions for those on the race cars. They would not sustain the wear of the right tires. So presuming most of the teams will put the 2 new shoes on the right and then take a look at the rear tire wear as well. Maybe a decision there to put 2 new ones on the rear for better grip, but most of the teams looking at 2 tires going on the right, and Bonsignor leads the field down pit lane at the lap 70 5-minute break in the Wade Cole Memorial 133 presented by Morocco Welding. There we see the right side tire scuffs on the Kobe number 10, and also Sapienza's machine on pit lane showing right side indicators that he has had a bout with the outside retaining wall. 2 drivers in the top 5 that have brushed the outside wall but continued racing in the top 5, and here we see McKennedy parking at the cart for his crew, and they know exactly what they have to go to work doing, as I think he might have brought out a caution flag if not for the lap 70 break anyway. Maybe a chunk of that Hoosier tire laying out on the speedway, and certainly he was moving dangerously slow just as the caution flag came out for this planned lap 75-minute break. And you see the officials getting ready to drop their hands to indicate the 5-minute timer will be getting started. And everyone is parked. 5-minute clock begins right now. The Sapienza number 36 parked in the middle of pit lane, showing the right side tires being scuffed to the wall just like Kobe. But here is your race leader, Bonsignor, taking 2 tires to the right side of that machine. Brand new sneakers there, and I'm sure the right tires are going to be junk. Those left side tires can be rotated, but they cannot be changed by rule during this 5-minute break. The crew's all hard at work. The Jennerstown Speedway pit lane certainly with more than enough room to ably store these 33 race cars with a couple of spaces left over on these long straightaways. There you see Kobe, who ran second all race long in the first 70-lap segment of this event. And now he's got the right side tires looking as black as they should be from that white powder that we saw from the outside wall. Sapienza's car, the same thing. Both of those drivers maintained the 2nd and the 4th positions in spite of clearly showing the evidence that they had brushed the outside wall here at the Jennerstown Speedway complex. And of course the number 7, the Tommy Baldwin Racing entry of John McKennedy, needing desperately that caution. What a perfect situation for him as he lost several positions, but certainly would have gone a lap down in the pits making that tire change if not for the break happening exactly when he needed it. There's Sapienza's machine with the new right side tires. And you see just at the front of the shot there, the white tire that's being picked up. You can see the difference there as he got into the wall at some point. Again, the broken back last year ended his season, and he is just thrilled to be back behind the wheel. Got to shake the machine down in Florida, and never would have expected at that time during Florida Speed Weeks that it would be so many months until he was back on the racetrack. He told me that getting in the race car the first time really wasn't bad at all, and now we see the McKennedy car once again. And we have some footage of the number 7 machine there being challenged by the 64 of Rob Summers. No contact there. I was looking to see if maybe a Nerf bar got into that left rear sneaker, but it was coming apart as he battled with Summers. Both of those drivers with similar resumes, because Summers has wins on the ISMA Winged Super Modified Tour, as does McKennedy. Now, Summers was not victorious here at Jennerstown like McKennedy was, but both of those drivers will compete in midgets, in modifieds, in super modifieds, in winged cars, in stock cars. Both of them with a long history of competing in a variety of machines, and both were wheel to wheel for position when that tire came apart on the McKennedy machine. So 2 tires so far only on those runners at the front of the field, with the 07 of Emmerling. Emmerling working his way back up from the tail of the field under green flag conditions there. It'll be interesting to see the number 60 of Hirschman. When we go back to green flag racing, Hirschman is known for being a very conservative, save the car type of driver. So while we're still sort of in the first half of this 133-lap grind, he lost some spots early, then regained a position. It'll be interesting to see how he plays this second segment as cars now completing their work and rolling out onto the speedway. The order in which they come out is not important as the field is completely frozen. You don't have to use all 5 minutes of this break, and a few drivers now pulling out, but it is totally irrelevant how you pull out of the pits. The order will go back to the last green flag lap before this caution was waived for the 5-minute wait, for the 5-minute break on pit lane. And again, this will not be utilized in August. Most likely it will be back to live pit stops, but in order to keep everyone safe, the masks on the pit crews, the limited number of people coming into the speedway from each team, and of course there you see the empty grandstand. So you're watching this race by the only method that anyone can today in order to make sure that the health and safety of the teams and the drivers remain a priority, and yet still kicking off the 2020 campaign for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. .46 of Lutz moves back trackside as the teams now able to climb back on the rigs and the pit boxes to watch this race unfold in memory of Wade Cole, the number 133 car. This event sponsored by Morocco Welding. They build truck bodies of all types for commercial applications, and they are the scoreboard sponsor here at the Jennerstown Speedway on a weekly basis. A local company that supports many local racing teams, and proud to be a part of bringing back the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour for the first time at the Jennerstown Speedway Complex since the year 2006. The last couple of cars pulling off of pit lane. The rest of the field has stopped on the backstretch so that laps are not being clicked off under caution, so that as many green flag laps toward that goal of 133 will be completed for your entertainment here on NBCSN. Four of Jeff Gallup moving back out on the speedway. His father, Richie, a longtime tour racer with a victory in the NASCAR Whelen Tour many years ago. Pace truck rolling once again. See most of the stickers, if not all of the stickers, on right side tires. I saw one machine with a left rear sticker. There's Gallup, 4th year racing in a modified for car number 4. Of course, air pressure being one of the significant adjustments that the drivers can feel, and I'm sure the radio communication prior to that stop, there were drivers that made significant changes, I'm sure, in order to help the handling of their race cars, and we'll see who had the knowledge to make those changes in the right direction in just a moment, as we'll be going green at about lap 75. Caution still displayed from the flag stand, lights still on around the speedway as we work lap 73, so perhaps at lap 74 we'll be given the 1 to go signal and go back to green flag racing here in the Laurel Highlands of Western Pennsylvania, the Jennerstown Speedway Complex. Lights go out, and indeed next time the Wade Cole Memorial 133 resumes action. Thank you for joining us here on NBCSN for this exciting season opener. Imagine the excitement when those grandstands are filled with cheering fans on August the 22nd as the tour returns here to Jennerstown Speedway Complex. Back in the 1980s and 90s, 2 stops per year of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour were common on the Jennerstown Speedway schedule, as well as 1 to 2 stops per year of what was then known as the NASCAR North Series, now evolved into the K&N Pro Series and the ARCA Series. Many tours, including the nationally televised ASA Series and the ISMA Super Modifieds, competed on a yearly basis once or more here on this historic half mile that was paved from a dirt track back in 1987. And the green flag is back out. Lap 75 of the Wade Cole Memorial 133, presented by Morocco Welding. Bonsignor has led every lap to this point. Side by side again, just like the last restart, Swanson has an opportunity here. Swanson wheel to wheel with Kobe, the defending champion, and this time Swanson edges the car ahead just a bit. It was about a dead heat at the scoring line for that second position. Sapienza in the 36 needed those right tires changed, as both he and Kobe were showing the evidence of wall contact. And with those new tires, look at this, a new driver in second position. It's the 3 of Swanson. Swanson gets around the defending champ. Let's see if he can reel in Bonsignor and make the first serious challenge for the lead in this event. The 46 of Lutz has now caught up to Hirschman. Those 2 drivers raced wheel to wheel for much of Florida Speed Weeks. We'll see if the advantage of having all of that time behind the wheel already in 2020 pays off. Bonsignor stretching it out by a couple of car lengths over the 3 of Swanson. There we see a tight battle with some contact maybe there between Ronnie Silk, the former champion, and the 25 of Carroll now back up front. Sapienza ready to lay the bumper to Kobe. Again, these were both drivers that had a scrape with the wall in that first 70-lap segment. As Kobe loses one spot, Sapienza trying to gain. He looks to the inside. Coming down the front straightaway, he may have had an opportunity there, but thought better of it. And now Hirschman losing a spot to Lutz. Craig Lutz in the 46, the former Evergreen Speedway late model champion, takes a position away from Hirschman. drivers doing much of their racing in the state of Pennsylvania. And look how quickly Lutz has closed on the 36 of Sapienza. The battle for podium positions now includes a new shooter. It's the 46 of Lutz. Craig Lutz was very impressive during Florida Speed Weeks 2020. And look here at the Jennerstown Speedway as there's contact between Kobe and Sapienza. Kobe, the third place driver, now under fire. It's not just Sapienza, it's the 46 of Lutz. Lutz took the green flag in position number 7 and now finds himself in third place. Still bumper to bumper to bumper. It looks like Kobe may be slowing down just a bit as everyone closing in on his bumper. Maybe he made adjustments that he feels will dial him in for late in the race, but I would have thought after a brush with the wall, he would only improve after the pit stop. Lutz pulling away by some 3-4 car lengths now. Sapienza still tries the outside of Kobe, but Kobe throws the block on the backstretch. Out front, it's still Bonsignor, but this great action inside the top 5. Sapienza to the top on the front straightaway. Working lap number 85 of 133. He has advanced a position in the top 5. Now here comes Hirschman in the 60 car around the 10 of Kobe. The defending series champion falling back in this event. 64 of Summers. He is on the climb. Summers, another driver with experience here at Jennerstown in the past, and now they go 3 wide. Trying to get around the 01 of 5 field, they bang wheels briefly. It was more than Nerf bar contact, it looked like, between Kobe and the 64 of Summers. Both of these drivers competed in NASCAR modified action here before, and there's the Nerf bar used to get by. Kobe is slowing down, and the veteran Summers did anything he could to snag a top 5 position there. We'll see if he pulls away from Kobe, as the other couple of cars who've recently taken spots away from the defending champion have done. He's got about a car length and a half advantage now. Heated action inside the top 5 after the restart from the lap 70 break. Justin Bonsignor still not being threatened up front. It's the 3 of Matt Swanson now holding the second position. A great move, as it appeared when he passed Kobe that Kobe was still at full power. But Kobe has definitely lost something. Now the 46 of Lutz, again, he started 7th, he's up to 3rd, and it looks like he may now have a faster race car than Swanson. Sapienza's been holding inside the top 4 positions all race long. There he sits in the 36. He wrestled another position away from Kobe moments ago, but Lutz, who was very impressive during February, coming to life here at the start of the second segment. A climb from 7th to 3rd behind car number 3, but Bonsignor with that 51 out about 4 or 5, maybe 6 car lengths ahead of the battle that we're watching for second place. Really could make this a 3-car battle. Sapienza not too far off the rear bumper of Lutz. Now back just a little ways in the pack, we see the 25 machine of Calvin Carroll, the former Rookie of the Year. This is his first race of the season, his 4th year in a modified, as he dives beneath Ronnie Williams. Williams making his first tour start, and look at this side by side for second. We're wheel to wheel on the backstretch, headed into turn number 3. It's the 46 of Lutz climbing from 7th into 2nd position now. And you can see it's a distant second to leader Bonsignor, but he's got already a car length of breathing room between himself and the 3 of Swanson. Hirschman catching back up to this group now as he closes in on the rear bumper of Sapienza. The lap traffic not heavy at this point, and may not be for a little while. But look at Lutz pulling away from the 3 of Swanson, who has clearly been one of the 3 or 4 best cars all day long here. Swanson took the green in 6th position and spent much of the race in 3rd, so he climbed up from his qualifying effort, but not the way Lutz has. What a run for Lutz. Sapienza and Hirschman, the 4th and 5th place cars, as car number 3 now holds position number 3. Catalano goes a lap down now. Bonsignor's lead is not quite a half straightaway, so this action that we're watching inside the top 5, the best on the speedway right now. Hirschman using the flat part of the racetrack to stay with Sapienza, going down under the banking. Still has wheels under the yellow line on the apron of this half-mile racetrack. His experience in a modified here being the most recent back in 2017. Hirschman in the 60, and his father 3 times went to victory lane on this half-mile. Hirschman, the Pennsylvanian, he does live about 4 or 5 hours away. It's still a long commute, but here in his home state of the Keystone State, inside the top 5. These 3 drivers 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and really being blown away by the 46 of Lutz, who just passed each of those drivers after starting 7th. And Emmerling, another man on the move in the 07 car, as he was the first car to hit pit lane on lap 1 with that flat tire after a great qualifying performance. He's closing in on the 50 of Williams. Here's a battle behind him. Emmerling in the 07 has been to victory on the NASCAR Modified Tour, as well as very successful in the Race of Champions. The one of Woody Pitkat, many times a winner on the tour that we see there. There's Emmerling. He is to the inside of the, that's the 07 car with Jan Leedy in the pits for him, and he is moving under the 50 of Ronnie Williams. He was an SK champion, Williams was, 2 years in a row, 2018 and 19 in the limited modifieds, but surrenders a position here to Emmerling in the 07. With another couple of cautions, you've got to believe that Emmerling could contend for top 5 positions, even though he had to go 33 cars back with that flat tire on lap 1. 22 of Kyle Bonsignor there, now challenging the 50 of Williams. Kyle, the cousin of the race leader, who himself has a tour win in the NASCAR Whelen series. Now he moves to the inside of Williams. Williams, a 2-time pole winner in the series. Now we go back to that battle for top 5 positions. Lap traffic playing a role there and allows Sapienza to get a 2 or 3 car length advantage in the 36 machine over the 60 of Hirschman, who rides 5th. We're on lap 105 of 133. So even for a conservative driver like Hirschman, we're now fast approaching the time where they need to show what they have. Every driver in the field. The time for waiting is just about over. This racetrack is so smooth that even at these high speeds, we have had barely an incident on track, not expecting a lot of cautions toward the conclusion of this event. So while Bonsignor stretches out his lead, the other, oh, and there we have it. Contact, we just talked about a clean race so far, but contact sends the 50 of Ronnie Williams spinning. Williams, who's no slouch with a couple of SK modified championships and winning poles in his 7 years of modified competition on the NASCAR Tour. He got chrome horned at the exit to turn 4, and this incident is entering the front straightaway with Catalano making contact enough to get a flat front tire on the 56 machine. Her 2 sons are in competition in this event with her today, and we'll see if the 50 can back out of this event. Oh, he's got a flat left front as well, so that contact after the spin is most likely what flattened 2 Hoosier tires here, as we're going to go to the replay and we'll see. Here we have the 06 car. Oh, look at that contact right there. And that takes out the 50 machine of Williams, that 7-year driver that we were speaking of. Boy, that is a heartbreak for the way he had been running so strong inside the top 10 with that number 50 machine. I don't know that the contact at the rear was enough to flatten the tire or damage the car, but here we see after, with Catalano having no place to go, and then into that spinning machine. Wow. Such a clean race to this point, but now several drivers with an opportunity that they have been looking for, as Catalano will head to the pits. And again, the emergency rule evoked here with flat tires, as they will be able to change those in order to continue on. The Catalano family, very successful in the Race of Champions Tour, with going all the way back to Buck Catalano. Several generations of racing in that family. And another opportunity for a replay here on NBCSN to take a look at this incident. Right there in turn number 4. Really getting into the back of the 60 machine hard. We see Goodale spinning to avoid, and we see the one of Woody Pitcat, the longtime veteran who knows to lock up the brakes, and boy, did he do a great job of avoiding contact with the wall. Then he did back into the Bertuccio machine there, but that was minor contact. Pitcat with great reflexes on the brakes, and of course the 58 of Goodale doing the only thing he could do, spin to avoid. But boy, Ronnie Williams, right there in turn 3 on a track of this size. It's true you've got plenty of room to spin and not hit the wall, but it's also true that you're carrying a lot of speed at that point, and even light contact, even very light contact would have been enough, but that was, I think, harder than what you would expect to see at that point of the racetrack. And here's the 58 of Goodale. He's a multi-time Tour winner. Just like Hirschman, Goodale has been to victory lane in the unsanctioned Richie Evans Memorial at the New Smyrna Speedway during his career. And as he told us earlier tonight, his big brother with racing experience here, we see them looking at the tires on the number 58 machine. That's what this driver was doing when his big brother raced here at Jennerstown back in 2006. He rolls away. The 82 machine of Chase Dowling, who was also having a great run, rolls away. And now they're looking at the Williams machine like there may be more damage than just the flat tire. And again, that not coming from the spin, but from the contact with Catalano, who had no place to go as the racetrack was blocked for her, with Williams going around in turn number 4. Sam Rabo in that 06 car, his second year on the Tour. He's a former Rookie of the Year, but that hard contact right there, he might have to have a talk after this race with the driver of the number 50. And Rabo's been racing since age 13. He climbed up to the modified division back in 2015, and this is his second year touring with the group. Rookie of the Year honors given to the 06 car, but causing a caution flag incident here as laps continue to click off. We're at lap 111 of 133 as Morocco Welding presents the Wade Cole Memorial here at Jennerstown Speedway. And if you're joining us late in the going and you're thinking 133 laps sounds like an unusual number, well, it certainly is, and it was done to honor the driver of the number 33 car, Wade Cole, who has over 350 career starts in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. He was tragically killed this past March, and this race honoring the number 33 car of the driver who has the 8th most starts in the history of this venerable NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And now even more bad news for Ronnie Williams on pit lane as a tow truck is being needed. The work that has to be done there, they have the car on a jack at the back, and now a tow truck is going to be helping them on pit lane. So we were hoping it was just the flat tire, but the Catalano impact certainly having a bigger effect on that race car than what they had hoped, needing this kind of assistance on pit lane. This is the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, only on NBCSN and streamed live on Track Pass with NBC Sports Gold. Thank you for joining us for the Jennerstown Speedway, hosting this 2020 season opener. Everybody comes into this event tied for the points lead of 0, and that's an unusual statement as we're in late June and things getting a slow start all across the world and the United States. Just like the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, life returning to normal here with no fans in the grandstands, but you'll have an opportunity to see these drivers and this tour on this big fast half mile, August the 22nd, with advanced tickets now on sale at jennerstown.org. You can be a part of this action and spend a couple days in the very scenic Laurel Highlands region. There's history, there's mountain biking, there's camping, there's trails, and beautiful Laurel Mountain scenery all around this facility. Certainly worth the trip to southwestern Pennsylvania, whether you're a Steelers fan or not, as the pace truck lights are dim. Lap 113 As we go green at the scoring line, it'll be lap 114. Just 20 laps remaining to settle this one. And now alongside race-long leader Justin Bonsignor, it's the number 46 car of Craig Lutz as we go green. Wheel to wheel into turn one. They were bumping those Hoosier slicks down the front stretch just a little bit. It was the three of Swanson who was the last driver to line up alongside Bonsignor for a restart, and there's contact. In the top 5 positions, there was bumper-to-bumper contact. Everybody stays pointed the right direction, though. Sapienza might have been the loser in that, as Hirschman goes by Sapienza. Kobe takes a spot back from Sapienza, and there's the 7 of McKennedy. Sapienza didn't just get shoved to the outside lane. He either had to hit the brakes or nearly got crossed up, because he is now backing up through this field after a solid run. Getting back on tour from the injury in 2019, he now falls back outside the top 5. McKennedy in the 7, the super modified winner here a couple of years ago. Right on the rear bumper of defending tour champion Kobe. And now another move made to the inside by the 85 of Ronnie Silk. Silk takes a spot away. Sapienza has something amiss on the 36 car, but it's a handling problem. You wonder if it might come from that brush with the wall in the first segment, but he is dropping back. The 25 car of Calvin Carroll, former Rookie of the Year, is the next one to challenge Sapienza. There you see the 85 of Ronnie Silk. So many wins on the tour, so many wins in unsanctioned competition before Silk became a tour regular and then earned the division championship back in 2011. And there goes McKennedy, passing the defending champion Kobe. McKennedy in the Tommy Baldwin Racing entry coming to life here after the restart, as we're on lap 118 of 133. Very quickly, McKennedy looks to the inside of the Hirschman number 60. Just a few moments ago, the number 3 of Swanson was part of a lead battle on a previous restart. And now the 7 of McKennedy. He has taken the 4th spot away from Hirschman. He's challenging for 3rd. The car number 3 of Swanson will now surrender position number 3 on lap 120, as McKennedy is the man on the move. Remember, that flat tire had him losing several positions just before the 5-minute race break at lap 70. And now new life for McKennedy. As he hits the scoring line, race leader Bonsignor is entering turn 2. So a lot of distance to make up for the number 7, who may be one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now. That's 7NY, the legendary number of Tiger Tommy Baldwin. And now Tommy Baldwin Racing, the next generation of Baldwin racers, fielding this machine after years and years of successful cup racing. And it's McKennedy behind the wheel, pulling away from the number 3 machine of Swanson, who's in 4th. Hirschman in the 60 in 5th place. Now Silk in the 85, trying to take a top 10 spot away from your second quick qualifier, Kobe. Kobe in the 10, his maiden voyage as a car owner driver in the NASCAR Tour. Trying to defend his spot from the 85 of Silk. That'll be the battle for 6th position. 2 former NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champions here in the closing laps. Hirschman all over the back of Swanson. Hirschman's father, a former driver of the Bowler number 3 car. And now Matt Hirschman looking to the inside of Swanson. He's got the preferred lane in turn number 3. But Swanson defends the position as we're working lap 125 of 133. Best battle on the speedway is this 4th position fight, 4 cars strong. Hirschman trying to grab the spot from Swanson. Silk trying to take the spot from Kobe. All 4 cars racing under a blanket here at Jennerstown Speedway. And while the 7 of McKennedy has driven far away from this battle, he is still a long way from challenging Lutz for 2nd, as Bonsignor has led from the drop of the green. No challenge up front, so we're watching the wheel-to-wheel fight between Hirschman in the 60 and Swanson, the former quarter midget racer, in car number 3. Swanson been behind the wheel of racing machines since age 13. Took the wheel of a modified back in 2015, but Matt Hirschman in his home state takes away position number 4 as we work lap number 128. Bonsignor running away with the lead. 2nd place Lutz. There we see the 51 of your race leader as we work lap 129 and the distance back to the 46 of Lutz. Lutz may be gaining a little, but he will run out of time without a caution flag here before he can challenge Bonsignor unless something goes seriously wrong with the 51 machine as we have 3 laps to go. There is the interval back to Hirschman, and Hirschman, as per usual, saving a little bit for the end of this race, but not quite enough to be a podium finisher today as we are winding down the laps, and that action for the 5th position remains heated. Swanson had a great run all day today, still showing in the 5th position. A great run for one of the youngest drivers in the top 10 right now. As the white flag is displayed for your leader heading into turn number 1. The driver of the 51 car who set the fastest time in qualifying today. The driver who has dominated this event in the Kenneth Massa Motorsports machine. From Holtville, New York, Justin Bonsignor is a winner at Jennerstown Speedway in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Wade Sutton Memorial 133. He picks up the win over the 46 car of Craig Lutz, the 7th place starter. Finishing in 3rd position will be the 7 with a late race burst, John McKennedy. Finishing in the 4th spot, the 60 of Matt Hirschman. And coming home in the 5th position, it will be the 25 of Calvin Carroll, the former Rookie of the Year, who had a great late race burst, getting by a former series champion in the form of Ron Silk to crack the top 5. And now the number 51 machine of Justin Bonsignor will take a victory lap in honor of Wade Cole at the Jennerstown Speedway Complex. The Sunoco checkered flag. And Justin Bonsignor, last season, he finished 2nd in the championship point standings after earning the title back in 2018. He sits 8th on the career win list. He had such a surge in the last part of the season last year, this being his 27th career victory and his first here on the big half mile of the Jennerstown Speedway Complex. You are looking at the driver who will be the favorite when this tour returns to this half mile facility on August 22nd. Tickets are on sale now. If you like the action you saw here today on NBCSN, join us here live in that giant Western Pennsylvania grandstand for round number 2 at the Jennerstown Speedway Complex of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, as Justin Bonsignor takes the checkered flag around this half-mile oval, victorious in round number 1 for the NASCAR Whelen Tour in 2020. A dominating performance here today after setting fast time early in the afternoon, and never a serious threat for the lead as he brings the 51 to a stop at the start-finish line. Fantastic showing today by the driver of the 46, Craig Lutz. As I talked to him earlier today in the pits before practice, I said, you were very impressive in Florida Speed Weeks this year, and he told me a little bit about his racing resume. He certainly has the credentials to battle with the best of them in this series, and he did so today as the former late model champion comes home runner-up after a late race surge. He saved this race car the way it needed to be saved, to have some left at the end. Not quite enough, but still a late race surge carrying him past some heavy hitters for a runner-up position to kick off the 2020 campaign. Just behind his machine, parked on the front stretch, 3rd place finisher, John McKennedy, who has celebrated in Jennerstown Victory Lane with a super modified win. And here he is on the front straightaway, your winner of round number 1 of the 2020 NASCAR Whelen Modified Series. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Bonsignor. And let's head down trackside to hear the thoughts of your winner from Jennerstown Speedway Victory Lane.
All right, from pole to victory lane, how was your race? Yeah, it was an unbelievable day today, you know, to come out and get the pole and be able to lead every lap. Just it's a good way to come out. It's like, you know, it's a nice way to make a good statement that we haven't lost anything in the last 2 years, and the car was just really good. Ryan Stone did an amazing job preparing the car. Obviously, I want to dedicate this win to Wade Cole, you know, a fixture on the series for longer than I was alive, and we're going to miss him dearly. He was always the guy that no matter what, he was smiling. He wished you luck. He congratulated when you won. He was just he was a guy that we deserved to have. He was a great guy, and we're going to miss him, but I just can't thank everybody enough on my team, the Phoenix Communications, Clear Climb Realty, Fury Race Cars, Stone's Parts and Performance, M3 Technologies, Robert Yates Racing, and just everybody. My whole team got a new spotter this year. He did a great job keeping us up front today, and just hopefully this is a first of many this year.
Did you struggle with anything at all today?
The first run we really were started off really loose, and you know, they were coming over the radio just saying, you know, try and get to the intermission. We'll fix you up, and everybody else was struggling worse, you know, than we were. So we made a little adjustment at the pit stop, and it was really perfect the second run. You know, it didn't really fall off until the last few laps, but fortunately we had a really good car, and we were able to put a little gap on them and didn't have to really, you know, race crazy hard and burn the tires up.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So the complete rundown, unofficial finish, waiting for officials to confirm, but as they cross the finish line for the inaugural Morocco Welding Wade Cole Memorial 133 at the Jennerstown Speedway Complex, it's Justin Bonsignor, your winner in dominating fashion. Craig Lutz finishing in the second spot. Third to John McKennedy in the 7 car. Fourth to a former winner here, Matt Hirschman. Fifth to Calvin Carroll, the former Series Rookie of the Year. Former Series champion Ronnie Silk comes home in the 6th position in car 85. 7th place will be the finish for the defending Series champion in his first run as a car owner and driver, Doug Kobe in the number 10 car. Finishing in 8th, your winner's cousin, Kyle Bonsignor, a former winner on the tour. Coming home in the 9th position, Matt Swanson, who had a great run until the very end of the event in car number 3. Coming home in the 10th spot, a driver with plenty of Jennerstown Speedway experience, Rob Summers in the 64 car. 11th, a great recovery after that caution flag incident for Sam Ramo. The 75 of Chris Pasteryak, the second-generation driver, finishes in the 12th position. Dave Sapienza in the car 36, whose first start on the NASCAR Tour after the broken back sidelined him last year. He comes home 13th after racing most of the day in the top 5. 14th position goes to a several-time winner on the Tour, the 58 car of Eric Goodale, and in 15th spot, another former Tour winner, Timmy Solomito. So here from the Jennerstown Speedway Complex in the Laurel Highlands of Western Pennsylvania, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour concludes its season opener, the Wade Cole Memorial 133. And the NASCAR Modifieds will be back here on August the 22nd at Jennerstown Speedway. We thank each and every one of you for joining us here today on NBCSN for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, as the Jennerstown Speedway Complex hosted the tour opener and the first time the NASCAR Modifieds visited Western Pennsylvania since 2006. It was a successful run for the drivers, a successful NASCAR season opener as we all across the United States return to a normal life in the summer of 2020. More action coming your way later this season on NBCSN, and you can learn more about the Jennerstown Speedway by visiting jennerstown.org. Congratulations to Justin Bonsignor, your winner today.